Hi, welcome back to my channel. I've tried to do this video so many times but I'm just gonna do it lo-fi on my phone, not on the big camera because it's just not working. And I think this is a video that needs to be out in the universe more than ever right now. So I'm gonna take it back to similar to the video about, I think when I talked about overwhelm, I'll link it down below, where I just sat and chatted whilst doing something without any pressure. I've been painting on water bottles, wine bottles. I bought loads of mugs like years and years ago with the ideas of painting on them, and I'm a professional illustrator, but I have no idea about painting, and so it's been a huge experimentation even just to get here to like, I'm really happy with this, but they're obviously like, it's just for fun because everything I do is for digital, and I have a lot of like anxiety and fear around doing stuff that is a traditional way of working, like paint and pens. I just want to share what I've learned through being a full-time illustrator, and I've also learned a lot about dealing with uncertainty, whether you're freelancing, creative in any way, a solo business. There is so much uncertainty in all of that, and I've learned so much. And I've learned all of it the hard way. And actually a big, you know, there's a lot of people that choose to study things like advertising or graphic design because there's huge fear in all of these other kind of things like illustration and going out on your own. And I do think self-consciously, is that a word? Like somewhere deep internally, even if I don't know it, there was some part of me that was like, graphic design is a stable job, let's go study that. And I had to really, through discovering illustration and figuring out that was going to be my path, I had to do a lot of like internal like confrontation with my huge fear of having to deal with uncertainty in a job, and the idea of like freelancing or, you know, portfolio based work, and the uncertainty of all of that was enough to I think somewhere in me choose graphic design over other things. I do think I think the way that I think is as a graphic designer, and I think I don't think I would have had it any other way, because I loved studying it and I loved thinking about problem solving through creative work. I don't think I was necessarily drawn to like fine art or all of these other things that most illustrators go down that path. But I think at university was starting to get quite anxious at my future being a bit, you know, even I remember saying like, oh, you need to switch jobs in graphic design every 2 years or something. I was just about like, okay, that's bad. Anyway, this is a really long intro. This video is going to be about how to deal with uncertainty. I'm not wearing any makeup, my hair is still air drying, but I feel like when I've been googling how to deal with uncertainty, I've been in like floods of tears or, you know, a bunch of anxiety. So I actually thought that maybe this is the best way to do it. Just strip it back, not be too overly polished, and just be here as like a friend or a big sister, and just share all of the stuff that I learned the hard way. If you have any tips on how to deal with uncertainty, please put them in the comments below and we can all help and share with each other. I'm still learning, I'm still figuring it out, but I've definitely got learned some valuable things along my path. So yeah, I feel like if I just sit here and talk to you, I'm gonna be thinking too much about my words, and I get like stuck and stumble along my things. So what I've been doing the last few hours has been I've been painting stuff, and I'm gonna keep it really simple. I've gessoed these, sandpapered them, gessoed them. I didn't know what that was either. It's like a primer. I've also done the inside. These are not going to be to drink out of. They're to plant in, for plants. I'm making myself look like a mug. So I'm just going to keep it really simple and do something I haven't done before and just black and white. So, uncertainty. Okay. The first thing I would say, if you're feeling really anxious and really nervous and you're starting to like feel really like overcome with the feelings of uncertainty, is look back on your life and remember all of the times that you were hit with a challenge that you didn't think that you would overcome, but you did. Oh, it already looks awful. Looks so bad. I regret it already. Okay, what we're gonna do is, look, we're dealing with uncertainty and if it messes up real bad, I'm just gonna paint it black and do like a similar, paint it black and do this. So this is me being really vulnerable with you guys right now. Oh, I don't like it at all. I really don't like it. Me not like it. Should we just start again? See, look, we're faced with a challenge and we are dealing with it. Okay, so you want to look back on your life and look at all the challenges you faced before. I'm trying to get it so that you can see it. Look back on all the challenges you faced before. So for me, what I do when I feel really nervous in a moment, one of the most difficult times and most anxious times of my life was when I didn't have enough money for rent on my first year of uni. It was that period of time where everyone was kind of moving into their first house, and we were, but I still was £200 short of rent because I was not paying attention to how much money I was spending. I wasn't checking my bank account, and you know, I come from a family where we weren't really taught about money. And yeah, I went to pay my rent. I knew I had 2 weeks to pay my rent and I didn't have money to do it, and I didn't know what I was going to do. I don't have the luxury of having the privilege of having parents where that we had that kind of money lying around, and I really freaked out and I really didn't know what I was going to do. And obviously the first thing I did was like find a job, but the job that I got, I couldn't get paid. I asked, but I couldn't get paid within 30 days, which is like pretty standard. So my mum actually had saved up money for a holiday that year, and she cancelled it to give me the money, which obviously broke my heart, as like, you know, I was, you know, doing so well, looking after myself. It was a lot of my, it was really sad. It was really sad. No one wants that. No one wants, you know, that to do that to their mum. And so I also acknowledge how lucky I am that that was possible, and that I had someone to ask. But I also it was very lucky that she had it, basically. And it was that summer where everyone is moving into their first house of uni, or you know, A lot of students go home for the summer. I didn't, obviously, because I got a job. And so I actually asked everyone in my halls if they had food that they weren't going to move into their new house, if they could please like give it to me, because I had no money for food and I didn't know how I was going to eat. And so I even had my friend's parents like arrive at my flat with dropping off food very, very kindly. So I remember I had the 2 weeks for the rent. I must have had a few weeks before I got paid for a job. So I think it was all in all like about over 4 weeks where I was just living off scraps of food from very kind people. I'm very lucky at the time I was seeing someone who also bought me breakfast every now and then, which was like really nice. But yeah, I remember I obviously got through the food, the nice food first, on like the fresh food, and very quickly I was left all alone in my halls working, and I had nothing but pasta and like Tesco value tomato soup to eat, literally for breakfast, lunch and dinner. That was like the only options I had. I think it was a few days after I like ate the fresh nice food that everyone gave me, and then all I had was this like huge bulk, do you know what I mean, like a really big bulk pasta, with like someone gave me like 10 tins of tomato, like the value tomato soup, because I think they just didn't like it and their parents bought it for them, and so I just had that, and I was working, and I remember on my like lunch breaks, sometimes it just got to the point where I would like feel so sick about the thought of eating that again, because it was linked with all this like anxiety and stress, and like I was working like really harder than I had before, just doing extra hours for obviously more money, and yeah, it was awful. I was awful. Like I remember like people offering to pay me food, like to buy me food, and being just so grateful and being so happy that I didn't like have to eat that like meal again. And I know that my experience with, you know, that I just shared has also a lot of privilege, and people were willing to help me, and I had food, you know. I still have to acknowledge that, like, that's a huge privilege that I had access to food and that I had access to people that could help me. But there was if anyone's ever been hungry before, what I was, that feeling just is a horrible feeling, not knowing how you're gonna eat, and, you know, potentially making decisions in love based on that. I mean, there's no other way to say it, right? Of course, like, that guy didn't treat me very well, and I stayed because he was buying me food. Just to be real. And yeah, I think that is a huge lesson right in the first year uni, that I'm sure like other people that are working class and go to uni, I'm sure there's a lot of people that have those experiences. And I know that I spoke recently on my Instagram about what it's like to study something creative and be working class, or have parents that are struggling, and it's really tough because you have to pay for your own materials, and you have to pay for paper if you want printed stuff, and then you get, you know, what if something goes wrong and you have to pay for all of like stuff again, And there's a lot of people in my DMs that said, you know, I studied fashion, or I studied this and I studied that, and I kept getting downgraded because I couldn't afford to pay for this. And it's a real problem in the create. Anyway, well, focus. So that was a time when I was really felt very scared and hungry, and also just annoyed more at myself, that I was careless. But what I remember that moment often because I was hungry and I was tired and I was stressed and I was upset and I was crying a lot, and I was making, you know, these life decisions based on the fact that I needed help. But I also got through it, and I also learned a lot from it, and I also made sure that I never made that same mistake again. And I learned a lot from it, and I also I got through it. And I think that's something that I'm thinking a lot now, is like, I've been through struggles before, I've been through really hard times before, and gotten through them and gotten over them. And I think whenever you go over a challenge, you're like, wow, I can't believe I got over that. And we need to remember that we're like really strong and powerful and capable. Which leads me on to my next point. If you are someone, you know, I've heard a lot of recently, more so of my like friends that have a lot of privilege. I love you. But I've had a lot of you saying like, I've never felt so stressed and anxious in my entire life. And if you're someone who is like, you know, feeling that resonates with you, I would say, and it's the same like advice I would give to anyone that's gone through like heartbreak for the first time, or is going through, you know, family issues for the first time, or is going through money issues for the first time. Become a self-help geek. Make time, you know, to listen to other people's struggles and journeys, because, you know, Oprah, Reese Witherspoon, Brené Brown, think about how many books there are in the whole world. So many people have taken so much time to put down their journey, what they've learned, all the advice they would give to their younger selves. They put all of this information in a book, spent years making a book. I know, because I know how long it takes to make a book. And they've put all of this information out there for you to just consume. And I think that during really difficult times, it can be really easy, because I do this myself, to want to just escape, to want to just run away, to want to just blast music on really loud. And I think that escapism is really important right now. We all need it, okay? We all need it. But I really have noticed such a difference in my mental health during this time, when I'm taking like my time when I'm cleaning, or my time when I'm showering, or my time when I'm drawing or working, when I'm putting on a podcast, or I'm putting on an audiobook that is about struggle, and how people overcame struggle and overcame challenges, and listening to other people's stories and experiences. I do notice such an impact on my mind, and learning stuff and learning about other people's experience. I think it's just so important. And don't get me wrong, I love like a good playlist to just like disappear into, but I also think that very often we don't really lean on the help of others when it's like all out there. It's like all out there. There's so many books in the world with such amazing tips, and everything I've learned about mental health and personal development is like from books and audiobooks I've read. So whack on an audiobook when you're cleaning, and like seriously, like you're welcome. I'm going to leave some of my favorites below. I guess another way you can also be a self-help geek is like online courses. They're so amazing right now. I'm not sponsored by Skillshare. My god, I wish I was. I actually just signed up for 2 free months of Skillshare, so I've been feeling that that's really helped me. And there's also loads of stuff. I think Emma Gannon has got one on sabotage that I'm so excited for, which I think is along the theme of self-help. So just become a Hermione Granger, go out there in the world, read books that are going to help you feel more certain. This is cute, not gonna lie, although it does look like rainy clouds. My next point is something that I did actually as soon as this all was starting was become really resourceful. I released some postcards that I printed at home myself for my shop because I had the paper and I was like, I don't really want to order from a shop like printing place right now with the current situation, like let me just see what I can do with what I have. And I loved those postcards, and it was just reminded me of how resourceful I can be. You can do so much with just your phone. You're probably watching this on a phone or a laptop or something, and I think we forget, you know, like me at the beginning of this video, like, this isn't very good quality, like blah blah blah. It's all bullshit. You don't have to have the best stuff to do your work. Sometimes we forget that we can just do so much with just what we have and what, you know, we have at our disposal. And, you know, like I said, I don't come from money. And a lot of how I made my work and a lot of how I found my style was literally because I didn't have much time in between working in retail and in interning, and I wanted to figure out how I could draw every day. And so I just made my work really simple so that I could do it and that I could draw every day. And I have a really old tablet. It's the only tablet I've ever had, and I love it. And I don't have an iPad. My Mac is from 2011, which hopefully I need to get. Really, it's not doing so well. It's lasted me 10 years and I have done so well on it. So, you know, I think, you know, for me, my internet here is really rubbish. I've had to leave on my YouTube videos to upload on all night, and it's the same with exporting them. I've had to, because I've not had access to my office, so I always have uploaded videos at my office because the internet here is just so rubbish. And I figured it out, you know, I figured out a system that works, and I just became resourceful so that I could still do what I wanted to do. So I think that's a great way, just, you know, cut the corners where you can. I don't think my favourite way of working is just by asking myself, how can I do that with the least amount of time possible, with the least amount of effort, in the shortest time frame possible? And just like ask yourself those questions. If you want to do something, you know, we're in quarantine and you want to make art and you want to do this, and you know, how can you make it easy for yourself? I think that's something that we forget sometimes, that like, oh, we can try and do it the easiest way possible. Why not? To be honest, I believe that is such a theme throughout everything I do, because when I am less stressed and less anxious and just doing something that is simple, I'm able to work better. I'm able to actually get it done, and I'm able to do it with a smile on my face. So don't be afraid to just really simplify your style or your way of thinking, or, you know, your project, or, you know, I think why not make it easy for yourself? Like, why does something great have to be complicated? It doesn't. And more often than not, like, the most incredible things in this life, whether they've been, you know, pieces of art or design, they're the most simplest ideas. But that's what makes them great. That's my rant about simplicity. Okay, so the last tip, I mean, the biggest thing obviously is when we talk about uncertainty, I mean, doesn't it all just come down to money, right? It's all just about money. We're uncertain because if you're freelancing, money's going to be different every time, every month, every year, every week. And I think that's a huge, for me, that was the biggest, scariest thing about going out on my own was money, the uncertainty around money. Probably the best thing that has helped me feel uncertain about money is saving, and I know that that's probably not the most helpful advice for right now with the current situation, because I know a lot of people are just like focusing on getting by, but I think a lot of us have woken up to the idea of like, oh, an emergency fund is actually like really important, or you know, savings are really important. And you know, having a lot of conversations about money recently. I'm gonna not draw because I want to get this right. And I keep hearing the same things over and over again, and they're definitely things that I also have said to myself before. I think number one, just don't spend it. I know so many people who, you know, I mean, class anxiety is real. And there's a reason why the working class are the ones that can tend to spend more money. You know, we want to look, we have anxiety around being seen as poor. And I know for me, I've always felt like the poorest girl in the room, and I constantly was always all my life have been made fun of for not having money. And you know, we bring those traumas with us into our adult relationship with money. And I know for a fact that all the kind of people who struggled with money growing up and are now working, we tend to spend money a lot. We don't know how to save. We don't get taught how to save. We're not in a house environment where we talk about how to save. We're not told by our parents to put that much money away because your parents are living from hand to mouth and just scraping by. And so those conversations and those pieces of wisdom and the advice isn't like passed down to us. And then we go to uni or we go to school or we're in the work environment and we sat alongside people who have had those conversations, or they have a trust fund, or, you know, their parents still give them pocket money. And I think we feel, I mean, I always have felt really far behind in my education around money. And the biggest reason why I made the decision to go as an illustrator full time was because at the time I was living with my parents. So I thought, okay, I'm going to take a huge risk and change my career, but because I have a stability and a safety net in another part of my life. So I mentally, I always talk about that I made a calculated risk. So yes, it was a risk. Yes, it was terrifying. Yes, it was completely, you know, me setting up a business when I had no like really idea of or intention of doing that in the first place. Yet I was living with my parents, so I was able to, I said to myself, if I'm going to be doing this at some point, let me just do this now whilst I'm here, you know. So I know that that's also a huge privilege as well. I know that, you know, I'm very, very lucky that I was able to do that. And then when I started making my own money in the beginning of it, it was tough. I don't think I turned over a profit. I made a huge loss the first year, right? Just putting that out there. It wasn't easy. It really wasn't easy. And I, within that mental state where I was just constantly broke, I made, obviously had to cut out a lot of stuff from my life, like drinking, holidays, just like anything fun. All the money I spent on was for my business. And then when I started to save money very quickly, I wanted to go back, you know, into that mental state of like, let's just spend it, I want to celebrate, I'm doing well, like blah blah blah. And I had to learn that I couldn't do that. And so I kept trying to go back, and like every time I get an exciting job, you know, I'm like, oh my god, I can buy this with that, I can buy this with that. And I have to really like take a step back and be like, no, don't do that. And the best way I deal with uncertainty with money is like not spending it, because, you know, I had 5 months before my book came out. I had 5 months, I think even more than that, where I didn't get one job. And I had one big job that paid me $4,000, and it was like the biggest job I had had up until that point. And I was very responsible, and I didn't spend that money. Thank God I didn't, because I didn't know that I was not going to get a job for 6 months. I did not know that. So I know that this is not going to be great advice for right now, and I know that like, oh, I got no idea what situation everyone's in, and people have lost their jobs and everything. But I think I'm someone who likes to put my head in the sand about money, like a lot, and I'm still like unpicking that, and I'm still unlearning that. And I think, oh my god, I could do a whole video about money. I'm just talking, I can see like I've been talking about this for so long. But if you want me to talk more about money and how I've saved money, I've saved like quite a good amount of money. I've got an emergency fund now. I don't spend. I literally only spend money on my essentials, food, basic stuff. If I really want something, I wait like months and months and months and really think, okay, do I need that? Do I really need that? Do I need that? Do I really need that? Being really interested in minimalism, being really interested in sustainability, you know, charity shops are great. I can't wait till they open again. But I guess right now it can be really easy in times of stress to want to spend. I know I have friends that have been like, oh my god, I just spent £200 on this shop, or oh my god, I just want to buy something to cheer me up today. But the reality is that if you're struggling with money, if you don't have savings, if you have debt, you shouldn't like, I'm just gonna be real tough right now, don't do it. It's gonna make you feel happy for like 2 minutes, and then you're gonna be like, oh my god, money what am I gonna do? So like, just next time you have the urge to spend something that is just, you know, literally not essential, and you know, this is coming from me, I'm an illustrator. I've gotten really good at, you know, saving money. I don't make a lot of money, but I've gotten really good at only just buying what I need, not being afraid to tell my friends I can't do that because I don't have the money to do that. Can we just do something that doesn't cost money, you know? Not being afraid before birthday dinners to be like, I can only afford to pay for myself, otherwise I can't go. Because there's been so many times that you go out for dinner and then everyone splits the bill, and then I'm just like, what, but I just drank water, and I'm like, that's not fair. So getting really comfortable about saying, no, I don't have money for that, even if I do have savings. Yeah, but my savings are my savings. They are not money to be spent on, you know what I mean, non-essentials. And I think it's a real big problem, because there's not going to be many people of my age, or even in my career, or doing what I want to do. You know, I know there's so many people struggling with money, and I just want more people to be able to like do what I'm doing. But I also know how hard it was being working class to even just to get to this point. And so I just wanted to share what has really helped me. And just think, next time you wanna buy something just to make you smile that isn't like essential, just have me in your ear like, don't do it, babe. You know what's gonna make you happier? Looking at your bank account and seeing that money is in your bank account. Okay, think that's it. This is all we've done for today. Though it is cute. And in true Natalie Byrne fashion, I completely forgot to say goodbye on the video, so I'm doing a lovely voiceover for you. Thank you so much for watching. Please add anything in the comments that you think could be helpful, and I'll see you next week. Bye!